I talked to someone, and when I looked at my phone, it was covered in makeup. So I hatched an idea as an entrepreneur. My name is Jessica Lynne White. I'm a physical therapist of 26 years. My first job was at an outpatient orthopedic clinic. Track and field was nothing that I aspired to do. The one thing that Coach Harvey Brown would always say to me, Jessie, you're little, but you're mighty. The inspiration that man instilled in me. And I talked to someone, and when I looked at my phone, it was covered in makeup. And I said, there has to be a specific product that's not going to damage your phone. So I hatched an idea as an entrepreneur. So I ordered all of this product. If I'm going to do this, I need to dedicate all of my time to this. Something came out of my mind into reality. What advice would I give is to get out there and try. And nobody's ever going to shame you for trying to follow your dreams. I am Jessica Lynne White, and I'm a legacy maker. Jessica Lynne White, Legacy Makers. My name is Jessica Lynne White. I'm a physical therapist of 26 years and a digital marketer with a specific niche in helping national telemedicine brands come to life, from branding and logo and design to doing a website to bringing the software platform together and giving people a brand that they can be proud of and helping them launch that in the marketplace.
Jessica Lynne White's story begins not with a silver spoon, but with the tumultuous uncertainty of a divided family.
My childhood. I have a twin sister. We were born in southeastern Ohio in a very, I would say, impoverished town. Our parents were college dropouts, and we had a very tough beginning. We did not have a silver spoon when we grew up. Our parents fought all the time. I wouldn't say that I had a bad childhood, but I certainly don't remember it feeling very safe sometimes. We grew up poor. Our parents didn't have a lot of money, and we learned very quickly that we had to be resourceful. My childhood was not easy at all. Probably one of the single most defining moments in my life. When we were 4, my parents, they couldn't stay together, and my mom was from California and my father was from Ohio, and we kind of went back and forth, and my father finally asked his parents in Ohio if they could care for my twin sister and I. And we were in California at the time with our mom. She was having a hard time struggling, finding work and being able to pay for us, and having 2 small children, twin girls under 5 years old. And our mom put us on a plane by ourselves because she couldn't afford a ticket. And I remember sitting on the plane. There was a Chinese man sitting next to us who was so sweet, and he had money and he cut apples for us. Basically my mom put us on a plane and shipped us to Ohio to live with my grandparents for 2 years, which for a long time I struggled with feeling abandoned and not good enough. But then, as a mother of 2, I realized that my parents did the best they could with what they had, and I have forgiven them. My grandparents, they were so loving and kind. My grandfather was a devout Baptist Christian. My grandma she was a teacher's aide, I think. There was a lot of structure and there was a lot of love. So I have amazing memories of my grandparents. Well, we lived with our grandparents for 2 years, between around 4 and 6 years old, and then we were reinserted back into our parents' home in Columbus, Ohio, and we got along great. We were still basically living in poverty. I remember we didn't have enough money to pay our electric bill, so we slept as a family in the kitchen. with the oven open because that was our only source of heat. My mom is the most creative soul. She is a giver. She makes shit happen. My mom, when we were so poor that we couldn't even afford to go to the laundromat, my mom would stay up all night and sew a brand new dress for my sister and I to wear to school the next day. She would make miracles happen out of nothing. My mom is literally the reason why I am so resourceful and never give up. There's always a way, and my mother taught me that.
After a devastating public failure in track and field, Jessica sought a new path in the world of healthcare.
Track and field was nothing that I aspired to do. I have no idea what possessed me to go to the gym and try out for track and field. I don't think I even knew what track and field was, really. And so I went. Our coach, Coach Harvey Brown, I will never forget you. The one thing that Coach Harvey Brown would always say to me was, and I'm going to do his accent, "Jessie, you're little, but you're mighty." And I will never, ever forget the inspiration that that man instilled in me. I qualified for the state meet at the Ohio State University Horseshoe, which if you are from Ohio, you know that this is the premier sporting destination in the state of Ohio. I'm the first girl from my high school to make it and qualify for the state track meet. And it was a huge deal. My family was there, my dad, my sister, my aunt, my uncle, God and everybody was there. And the gun goes off, and coming around the first turn, I am probably in third or fourth, and you have to be top 6 to be All-American. And coming around that third turn, I reached for the second to last hurdle with my non-lead leg, and my toes on my left leg were turned down, and I hit the hurdle. And I fell, and I'd never fallen before, so I didn't know I was allowed to get up. If I would have gotten up, I would have still been top 6. I would have still been All-American. And I remember being on my hands and knees. And I remember looking up and just seeing all of these girls pass me. And that's something that's haunted me for most of my adult life. And I'll never forget when I was pulled off the track and the track official walked me down on the infield. And right when I got to the finish line, she put me back on the track and let me cross the finish line. And that meant something to me. That meant that even if you don't finish the race the right way, you can still finish the race. And that has stayed with me for my entire life because I was like, you get one chance. That was my one chance to show the world what I was about. And I freaking fell down and I was humiliated. It shattered my confidence. It shattered my identity. Track and field was such a huge part of who I was as a human being. And for me to fall on this major stage, but there was a gem in there because I didn't know that I was allowed to get up. And that lit a light bulb. If you can get educated and not have tunnel vision about what you're doing, if you can get educated about all of the possibilities, you can fall, but you can still get back up and you can still be successful. My first job was at an outpatient orthopedic clinic, and it was owned by a private practitioner. She had a couple of other satellite offices, and she taught me so much about connecting with patients. Seeing a woman own her own clinic in her profession was very empowering to me.
A smear of makeup on a flip phone sparked an idea, pushing Jessica from the clinic into the unpredictable world of consumer products.
And this was when flip phones existed. The iPhone didn't even exist. I remember flipping my phone out. We were in the car and I talked to someone, and when I looked at my phone, it was covered in makeup. And I was like, there's got to be a product to clean this off, right? And she said, no, I don't think there is. And this light bulb went off over my head. And I said, there has to be a specific product that's not going to damage your phone, that maybe even smells good. So I hatched an idea as an entrepreneur. This is my first big entrepreneurial venture. I'm going to invent scented cell phone wipes. So I ordered all of this product, and I had no way to sell it. I had no marketing plan involved. I had hired a consultant, but I had all this product. So I had to be very resourceful. I found a local manufacturer that would drop ship for me, and they taught me a lot about even basic shipping things. It was so innovative that there wasn't really a product niche. I ended up liquidating it to a couple of stores that, sold it for pennies on the dollar to get rid of that debt. And it took me probably 5 years to pay the manufacturer off. There was confirmation that something something came out of my mind into reality, and it was because I dreamed it into existence. When I was pregnant with my son, almost 6 years ago, I had a friend who was an influencer in LA, and I had no idea what that was. In fact, my twin sister had told me to go to an influencer's page for inspiration for my pregnancy photo shoot. And I was like, I don't even know what Instagram influencer is. I know what Instagram model is. And when I went to her page, I noticed that she was doing brand collaborations. She had a link in bio. She had digital products. She had a definite grid aesthetic, and her content was very planned. And I had no idea that you could make money on a free app called Instagram. So after I had my son, I'd be sitting in the nursery for hours, rocking him. I just consumed content. How do you turn your social media page into a sales funnel? How can you make money on Instagram? So I took a $400 course on how to be an influencer, and my family and friends thought I was absolutely nuts. Like, it was this huge Ponzi scheme. Like, what is she doing? So I started doing brand collabs. It was for free product first because I just wanted free skincare and free stuff for my nursery, but it grew into so much more than that, a calculated, very intentional way of making money on Instagram. So then I started getting paid collaborations, and then I saw one of the women who took the same course that I did, where she was advertising that she can help people be an influencer. And I messaged her and I was like, Kate, you just took the same course that I did. And she said something to me that I'll never forget. She said, Jessica, you only have to be 2 steps ahead of somebody that needs you to be valuable. And a light bulb went off over my head. And I said, you know what? Screw it. I'm going to do it too. So I started posting content that I could help people be influencers because I was doing brand deals and making money, and I knew how to pitch, and I knew kind of that strategy. And I got my first influencer coaching client on a slider on Instagram stories that said slide here to learn how to be an influencer. She paid me $1,600 a month. And that was the moment. It was lightning for me. This is what I want to do. I want to be full force an entrepreneur.
With a growing agency, Jessica faced the critical lessons of marketing, leadership, and communication.
I was literally grinding my face into the ground. After I had my son, I was on Canva doing social media graphics. I was doing funnels. I was writing email copy and doing all of this until, 2, 3 in the morning after I put my son to sleep. And it was causing a lot of friction in my relationship with my fiance. And I almost shut my agency down. Like, this isn't what I signed up for. I can't grow. I hit this bubble where I couldn't grow. And Midori came into my life. I found her on an agency. The agency wanted to screen record because there are a lot of virtual assistants out there that say that they're on the clock and working and they're not. And she was like, I'm not okay with this. And I'm not either. And she was so tenacious. And she reached out to me on Instagram. She's like, I loved interviewing with you. I don't want to work with this agency, but I would love to work for you. And she brought me this entire community of all of these beautiful designers and web designers and creatives that had literally saved me, saved my relationship, gave me purpose, allowed me to get out of my business so I could run my business. Many years ago, I launched a consumer product and I hired a marketing consultant, and he said something very poignant to me that I'll never forget. He said, Jessica, you don't have a cell phone wipe company that markets. You have a marketing company that happens to sell cell phone wipes. And when you can make that paradigm shift, that changes everything. You have to understand your audience, and you have to understand that dream client avatar. I have so many people that come to me and they bring their brand to life based on what they like, which can be valid if that coincides with what their dream client likes. But you have to put yourself in the body of, who am I selling this stuff to? How am I going to solve problems for this avatar, this specific person? What do they need? What do they want to see, touch, taste, smell? How do they want to feel? When I was, 8 or 9 years old, my grandfather had several heart attacks. And I specifically remember being in his room when the doctor came in and he said all of these words that we didn't understand. I vowed that day, number 1, I was going to help people. Number 2, I was definitely going to go into healthcare. And number 3, I was always going to make sure that whoever I spoke to understood what I was saying. I could look at someone and say, your hamstring tightness is contributing to your decreased step length with your gait, which is altering your ability to have multi-directional stability. stability. Or I could say, if you stay closer to your walker, you're going to have a better balance and you're not going to fall. Same message, but delivered in a completely different way. What advice would I give to an aspiring entrepreneur is to get out there and try. You're never going to regret trying to bring something into the world that comes from your heart, that comes from your soul, that comes from your mind. And nobody's ever going to shame you for trying to follow your dreams. And if they do, then flip them the bird.
Now, a mother and a leader, Jessica defines what it truly means to build a lasting impact.
Being a mom and an entrepreneur has been an exercise in throwing spaghetti against the wall, seeing what sticks and seeing what doesn't stick. But the biggest gift in my life is having children. And I started late. I had my son when I was 43, and I had my daughter 6 weeks before my 49th birthday. And it's been a definite balance. Do I feel guilty? Of course I do. Do I feel guilty while my fiance and my son are watching monster trucks or whatever they're watching? I do. But I also left my job as a full-time director of rehab and said, I'm jumping into this full force. If I'm going to do this, I need to dedicate all of my time to this for better work-life balance. Are you going to feel guilty sometimes? Yes. Are you going to feel like you're not giving enough to your children? Sometimes, yes. But the payoff for me is being very present and understanding when I'm with my kids, I'm with my kids, and treasuring those moments as much as I possibly can. And when my children get older, I want them to see me win. I want them to see what hard work, dedication, vision can transpire into. And that's not just money. It's having drive. It's having success. It's knowing that what you put your mind to, that you can do. I have Zooms with other women entrepreneurs and nurse practitioners, and they've got their kids, Zoom Live 2025. They've got their kids in the background. They always say, oh, I'm so sorry. And I say, do not say ever that you're sorry for being a mom or having your children be loud in the background. And I've had so many people say, wow, that meant a lot to me, because I felt like I needed to keep them behind closed doors and not really be a mom. And I think being a mom is one of my superpowers, and it's the superpower of a lot of the women that I help as well. So I think a little sprinkle of humanity and a little sprinkle of sass and a big sprinkle of drive and determination is my secret sauce. I'm honored to be a legacy maker because it truly is about my legacy and what I'm bringing to the table, what I'm teaching my children, what I'm teaching myself, and that self kind of admission that you did it. You did it, girl. You did it. And that's worth being a legacy maker. I am Jessica Lynne White, and I'm a legacy maker.